Hi, my name's Rebecca and this is Instructor Brad. I'm going from no aviation experience to my private pilot certificate. Today's lesson will be focused on the traffic pattern. Here's an example of a traffic pattern. It's basically a rectangular course getting you from the end of the runway back to the runway. It's the standard pattern for all airports. Sometimes there are some right patterns, but mostly, unless it's identified, it's a left pattern.
Are you getting me to practice on the radio as well?
I am.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
So, which bits of information do we need to actually speak about?
I like to call crosswind,
downwind,
base, and final.
And what about before we take off?
Before we take off, if we're over here,
explain that we're doing touch and go, right?
Right, and then I usually make that call.
Yeah.
Like if I'm on downwind, my radio call would be Hicks traffic.
Yeah.
Cessna 6291 Golf, left downwind, runway 14, touch and go.
What isn't clear by this simple rectangle is all the tiny inputs that you need to make it perfect. And a perfect pattern is supposed to lead to a perfect landing.
Okay, so I keep it really simple. 80 degrees, 10 degrees of flaps. 80, 70, 60, 10, 20, 30. That's all it is. And we're going to go around and around and around and around until Rebecca goes, I'm having enough. Okay?
Okay.
We're finally ready to get the airplane ready for our traffic pattern practice. Every single time we go flying, we do a thorough pre-flight. This really helps make sure that the airplane is safe, that we know our equipment, and that all problems get noticed on the ground where it's a lot safer. I do recommend continuing researching this a little bit further. I've got some other videos on pre-flights and finding out exactly why you're pre-flighting each aspect of the airplane is really useful. And then we taxi out to take off runway 14. We're going into a left-hand pattern. And so Brad is really helping me at this stage. He's on the controls with me. He's looking at all the instruments. He's noticing things that I don't notice. Once above 55 miles per hour, we rotate to bring the airplane off the runway and pitch for 80 miles per hour for best performance and cooling over the engine. We make a radio call for the upwind leg. We monitor the instrument panel and listen and feel for any problems. In case of an engine failure, we should be looking for landing options straight ahead. We do a clearing turn to the left. We turn to our crosswind leg. We make our crosswind leg radio call. We keep an eye out for traffic entering the downwind. Still climbing, aiming for traffic pattern altitude. 1,500 feet MSL for this airport. We do a clearing turn and then turn to the downwind leg. We fly parallel to the runway. Once we've reached traffic pattern altitude, we level off and retrim the airplane. We make our downwind leg radio call. At beam midfield, we apply carburetor heat. Beam the numbers, we bring the power back to 1700 RPM. We pitch for 80 miles per hour. Once within the white arc, we apply 10 degrees of flaps. We want to make sure that we're descending at a controlled and steady rate. We do a clearing turn to the base leg. We turn to the base leg, pitch for 70 miles per hour, add 10 degrees of flaps, that's 20 total. We make our base leg radio call. We check final for traffic. We look at traffic arriving. We look at traffic maybe on the runway. If it's clear, we turn to final. We make our final radio call. We add 10 degrees of flaps for a normal day, maybe 20 degrees of flaps for a very calm day. We are aiming for no slower than 60 miles per hour. We line up with the runway. And that is all I can get to. The rest of the landing is a complete mystery. It happens so quickly and always looks different. So Brad really wants me to get it. He really wants to give me the controls and get me to land the airplane. But I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed. I'm just beginning to understand the traffic pattern. I'm definitely not understanding anything to do with the landing. It always feels too high, too low, too fast, too slow. Nothing feels right about it. And I have not got the control over the airspeed. Certainly don't have the trim of the airplane correct, so I'm definitely fighting it, and I'm making ridiculously silly mistakes like removing all the flaps. I would love to say that I had some great landings today, but I didn't. Most of them looked a little bit like the ones that are going to follow. But I tried. There was a lot of other people in the traffic pattern. I tried using the radios a lot more than I had previously. After a very hot and busy day, we get to go back to the hangar and debrief today's lesson. I get to ask Brad a few questions about...
So we have to aviate first, navigate second,
Yeah.
communicate third.
And it's quite good today with the amount of traffic actually in the pattern, because there were other people in aspects of the
Yes.
traffic pattern, and you were like, no, it's fine, they'll be out of the way by the time we get there.
And they
I
were.
probably would have aborted if I was on my own. Like, there's someone else in the...
You know,
And is there any actual rules and laws about how close you can be actually in the air? Or is it just whatever you're comfortable flying? Is it like driving?
It's like driving. You want to stay far enough away that you don't overrun somebody or run into them if they don't see you. Now, you saw these two pilots that took off today. They were in formation flight. They're retired Air Force guys, and they have done a lot of formation flying when they were in the military, and now they're out here. They're allowed to do it in their civilian airplanes. The FAA says that you can do formation flight, but it has to be briefed prior to going. You have to both be on the same radio frequency or in communication with either hand signals or radio communication so that you know what you're going to do in the event that on the takeoff roll this guy's engine quits. He's going to call abort, and that guy goes, oh, because if he doesn't stop, he's going to run into him.
Brad is talking about some of these crazy people who do formation flights. For example, some people take off together, some people just choose to fly together, and it seems impossibly close to me at the moment.
Tell you to buy would be it's a dual book. It's 2 books in one. We call it our Bible. It's the Airman's Information Manual, also known as the AIM, and the FARs. And it's not all of the federal aviation regulations, so they call it an AIM FAR book. You can buy them online. You go to the pilot store and buy them. I think they're about $20, $25. And I would recommend that you buy that in text format. If you want it in electronic format, you can download it for free. But it's nice to have one that you can highlight in and put tabs on, because when you go for your check ride, the examiner's going to ask you questions that come straight out of that book. You've got the answers right there. So if you were going to buy a textbook, I would buy that AIM.
Can you reference it in the test?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not that I've actually got enough time, but I'm asking Brad what publications I should start to purchase and read through to prepare for my final exam. There's a link below to the FAR-AIM book that Brad is currently recommending. Thank you for your help. This has been Rebecca with PrivatePilot.guide. For more videos, please subscribe to the channel.